Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to discuss practice and race strategies. And I just want to mention what you're seeing behind you is the first race from the team that I created. And it doesn't really matter, it's just going to be practice and race just to get some background to the video, but I'm just going to be talking over it. So we're going to start off with practice, and there's 6 different parts to adjust. The front wing angle, the rear wing angle, the tire pressure, the tire camber, the gear ratios, and suspension stiffness. Now the front wing angle, it affects downforce greatly, and minimally affects handling, and slightly affects speed balance. And the speed balance moves in the same direction as the downforce when adjusted, whereas handling moves inversely. And the rear wing angle does the same thing as front wing angle. Generally I just use the front wing angle. You can usually get the perfect balance without using the rear wing angle at all. But feel free to use whatever combination you want. Tire pressure affects the speed balance and handling very minimally. This is used for very fine tuning. Tire camber affects speed balance and handling slightly. It's used for fine tuning. And then gear ratios affects the speed balance greatly, and it affects the handling pretty decently as well. And the suspension stiffness affects handling greatly and decently affects the speed balance. And of course they do work inversely, so the speed and the handling will usually go in opposite directions. Will always go in opposite directions. And just a quick aside to the GT series, they have a weight distribution, which kind of takes over for the rear wing and the front wing, and that's just kind of a replacement. And it actually is kind of interesting because that brings into factor your driver's weight. So yeah, something else you have to consider, and sometimes you can't get the weight distribution right whenever your driver's too heavy or too light. So the next part is the ratings and how you actually get excellent every time. Well, I usually can get it every time. The hard part is getting 100%, which is nearly impossible, which is why whenever I got it in another series that I took a photo of it. To use it as a representation, just to show you what it looks like. And as you can see, I've overlaid some colored squares just to give you a sense of where all the zones are. And that little tiny place where the dot or the yellow dot is, that's the excellent. It's that tiny. And then surrounding it is little tiny greats, and then goods, and then okay, poor, and then very poor. This is what I visualize, is this little gradient that I've displayed in front of you. So if you go to the far right of the downforce in the mechanic area, you're going to land in the good. And so you're going to know just how far away you are from the excellent. And if you go all the far left of the downforce, you're going to land in very poor, so you're going to realize that you're nowhere near. And just realize that very poor are the farthest out that you can go, so there's no reason for you to continue farther. And then the handling, same thing. If you're on the far right of the recommendation, that's probably excellent, and then far left is very poor, and then far right would be poor, and then far left would be very poor for the speed balance. So you just I would suggest just going to both of those ends, seeing where those get you. And in this case, it would get you good, excellent, and poor. And then you probably wouldn't, for the speed balance, you'd go all the way to the other side, get very poor, realize it's closer to the right side, and go ahead and move towards that side in the middle, towards that right side. And that should get you in the good or excellent range, and then you fine tune from there. And then if you did the right side on downforce, you'd realize you're in good, so you're pretty close, and then you would obviously want to stay in the mechanic recommendation. Excellent will never be outside the mechanic's recommendation, so you'll move a few clicks to the left there, and you would land in the excellent zone. And same thing if you did all in the right for handling, you would see that you're in excellent, so you just make a slight adjustment to the left. Now if you did all of them to the left, you would land in poor, poor, and very poor. And so that would get you nowhere, and you'd want to do it on the other side. And that's basically the idea. And every single time that you do this, you should aim for around 98 to 99%. Sometimes you can get a 98% with an excellent. That's pretty good. 98, 99 should be attainable every time. And just be sure to bring your drivers in immediately until the setup is near perfect. You want to practice on one tire to maximize your knowledge of that tire. Some people practice on wet tires when there's a wet race coming up. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. It depends. There's not really a big bonus to knowledge. I mean, every little bit helps, of course, but it's not going to drastically change your race. So just practice on whatever you want. I usually practice on the softest compound, especially for short length series, because you're going to be able to just do like 3 stops on softest tires. Later on, eventually there'll be a qualifying and race trim for you to practice on. I was just focusing on race trim, but it's not a bad idea to get one level of qualifying trim so that you can get just a little bit of boost for qualifying. And how to get honed in on this mechanics recommendation area is your feedback of your stat of your driver and how quickly they understand the setup of the car, and that's how fast you gain knowledge on the trims and tires as well. So it is important to have a feedback stat that is good. And consider using a reserve driver as well, if they have a good feedback stat, and if they have plenty of potential as well. Because if you use them only in practice, they actually increase a lot faster than if you put them in the races. I don't know why. I guess it's some sort of mechanic just to give a reason to reserve drivers and stuff. And so the next is you have 3 choices for lengths, as I was kind of alluding to. There's short, medium, and long. And I usually run on short just because I like to get through the races quickly. I prefer the mechanical and the other aspects of the game. Probably the recommended balance is probably the medium length. Usually like late 20s to early 40s for lap length, somewhere around there. And then long is probably not very recommended. If you really like the races, it might be fun for you, but they're really, really long. So they're up in the 40s and 50s range, which can be good. It means that you can really work on your strategy, which we'll get to in a minute. But short is very limited by fuel. You'll have usually like a little bit under half of the race length for your fuel tank, so you'll have to pit at least 2 times unless you do one of my strategies, which I'll go to in a minute. Medium is pretty good balance. There's not really limited by either. Probably the most natural state for the game is my guess. It was probably designed for this medium. So that probably gives you the most realistic, I would say. And long is definitely limited by tires. You'll have a big gas tank, but if you're not riding on hard tires, you're not going to run out of fuel. So that gives you a little bit of leeway on your fuel tank deciding more or less fuel. So there's really a strategy for each length. A good general strategy is one fast runner, one slow runner. And that's whenever you have the person farther back, he's the slow runner. And then the person close to the front is the fast runner. And what you do is you set the slow runner to attack and medium for the first lap. But then you set him back down to like medium, and just let him ride out his fuel tank. That way he'll pit last, and he'll get better and better at the end because you can use up more fuel. You'll have fresher tires near the end of the race. And the fast runner, the reason why you want him to be closer to the front is because the hope is that he gets in the lead and he can stay in the lead. Now, with Create a Team, lead is far out of your reach unless you go the low starting financial package, which gives you a 3-star chassis. So I would really suggest this strategy. It's pretty good for me. Whenever you're up in the lead, especially if your driver has bad overtaking skill as well, that's usually who you want to be the slow runner, because they just can't get around cars easily. So if you just let them run slowly, they'll take them over in the pits. Hopefully, that's the hope. And then short, my one strategy for that is the one stop, and this is only for particular laps. This is for races where the fuel tank is 1 lap down from 2 full tanks, meaning like you have a 6-lap tank for a 13-lap race, and what you do is you use low engine mode to go an extra lap, and then you use medium engine mode after that, so you only have to stop once instead of twice. And this is very, very important because if you do one less stop than everyone else, you're saving about 40 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, depending on the pit lane speed and how well your pit stops are. For the medium length, the undercut is really good, and this is where you pit early to get in clean air and overtake in the pits. So, like, say you're planning on your first stint being 6 laps, you pit 4 laps instead of 6, so that you get that extra lap of clean air because you'll come out behind everyone else. And the hopes is that since you're in clean air, you can run faster, and you can manage to pass everyone in the pits, and it works pretty well, even for low performance cars like in Creative Team. So if you're running on a medium, even long, undercut's really good. For short, it doesn't really work effectively because there's such a short time. So definitely consider that strategy, but steer clear of it for short. You want to really just work on the one stop strategy for short, or just riding as hard as you can. There's not much you can do in a short race. It's unfortunate, but it's, it gives you some chances to be able to hold on to positions later in the season, since you'll be falling back to the ranks. And in European Racing Series, you have a reverse grid. So the next one is long. There's so much variety for long. Like 50 laps, no one's on the same strategy. It's pretty interesting. It makes for a good gameplay. But it also makes it very hard to plan one solid strategy. It's a lot of experimentation. If you want to do long, go for it. Let me know if you find any solid strategies. So far, it just kind of seems like it's a crapshoot. Just undercut works decently, but it's going to be like 4 or 5 stops, so that's a lot of leeway when you want to stop, what you want to do in those stops, and stuff like that. So general information about the race. A lot of people ask me about tire modes, and this really affects your tire heating. And generally, you want to keep it in the middle between a little in the red and that neutral zone between the cool and the heated. Don't go to either extremes. Tires will degrade much faster. Typically, you want to run on push or overtake at the beginning to heat up the tires, because your tires start slightly in the blue, at least in Creative Team. I think whenever you get better tire heating, your tires will be more towards the middle during starts and stuff, but in general in Creative Team, they're cool during the start. And most AI do the same. So you want to just help match the AI here, unless you're doing the slow runner strategy. In which case, you'll do the medium tank and all that. And after the first lap, if your tires are still gold, you probably want to keep it on push until the middle, until it's at the middle area or slightly above. And if the tires are sufficiently heated, just return to medium tire wear, or even conserve depending on how much you burn. Some racetracks will be colder or hotter, so medium may not be sufficient. Keep the heat in the tires, or it may overheat the tire. So use push or conserve if necessary. So like if you're down in the blue, you'll use push to get them back up. And if you're up in the red and it won't come down, use conserve, or even low if it's really bad. Because you don't want to go to either extreme. If you go to either extreme, then your tires will degrade very quickly. As far as engine modes go, this will affect your engine and gearbox wear. Use higher engine modes very sparingly until your parts come up in reliability. In the beginning, use overtake or high mode for the first lap to match the AI, along with the overtake or push of the tires. just to attempt to hold the position, you know, because you'll be starting further and further up the ranks typically in European Racing Series and create a team, because you'll be falling down the ranks. So you really just want to try to hold on to that position as much as possible. And after that, you're going to want to use medium mode most of the race, unless reliability is high. In that case, you can usually go in a higher engine mode and kind of hold the position, or maybe even advance. And for the fast runner, slow runner strategy, slow runner, like I said, use medium engine mode the whole time. And fast runner should overtake to begin with, and push for the rest of the race unless reliability is an issue. And the slow runner can push on later runs, so they're quicker at the end of the race. And in general, you want to really just match the times that your opponents are setting around you, just to keep your position. So consider going up a mode or down a mode to defend, and if you're about to pass, consider using overtake and stuff like that. But don't overuse them. You want to be able to keep your parts reliable and keep your tires nice and useful and not overworn. And also, you can use overtake mode at the end, depending on your reliability and fuel level near the end. And tire wear is less important for short length. Fuel is typically what runs out before the tires, but still look after them, because faster degradation, you want to keep your tires working, and if you have a tire advantage, it really helps against the opponent. And also ERS, if it isn't a rule set of your series, use that to overtake and defend, and it can help you a lot, but they have to, you know, call a vote and stuff if you're in the European Racing Series. And if you're in the GT Series, it can also help you, but you're going to be way behind in the GT Series. It's about on par with the Asia Pacific Series, so it helps, but it's not as important. You're basically going to be last no matter what you do. And then another important thing to note is the red zones. And red zone is where a part is basically imminent to break. So that is usually 20% for most parts, unless you increase the red zone or decrease the red zone, depending on which parts you pick. And so you just, whenever that happens, if it's in the middle of the race, pit. You're not going to make it. If it's near the end of the race, like 4, maybe 5 laps, you might make it. 2, you'll definitely make it. Just put it on medium and neutral, the yellow modes. Definitely, you're going to want to just put those parts in get those parts to reliability, so that you don't have to worry about red zones. And typically for the shorter length, you're not going to have to pit. Typically, you're going to be pretty close to finish by the time they've went into the red zone. So by the time they've been in the red zone, so you don't really have to worry for short length. Long, you're probably gonna have to pit maybe even twice to fix parts in the beginning. By the end of the season, you can basically ride in high mode and push for most of the race. For long, it depends. I think the modes are pretty much scaled to be pretty similar, but the short race, you can basically get away with whatever you want because it's so short. Another question of concern is safety cars. When do you pit, and what do you do in those pit stops? If it's the first couple of laps and you get a safety car, just stay out there. Unless it's like about to rain or something, or change weather conditions. If it's about 5 or 6 laps in the race, go ahead and get your first pit stop in. It's a pretty free stop. If you're still running strong, I'd suggest stay out there. You can jump a few people. Now you will quickly lose those positions because you didn't pit. But yeah, pit if you need to. I would suggest using the fast mode for sure, since you can overtake even more people in the pits if you get out quicker. And that's about it. Let me know if I missed anything. Tell me if there's better strategies out there that I missed. I'll do an update to this video. I'll do like a part 2 to strategies. And just let me know in general if I've messed anything up. If you have any specific numbers on how things wear, percentages and stuff, how much each mode changes, just let me know. It'd really help, make this more accurate, and I could just be more helpful to people that way. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, and tomorrow should be a video about the stats and which stats are very important. Thanks for watching.